Don't be fooled by that sign. My real name isn't JG. It's Joshua Gillespie. And yes, I am a game reviewer, but not your typical one. I look at the obscure, the forgotten, and the underrated games of the past, and occasionally the present. I've dealt with many types of clients working in this business. I've seen the good, I've seen the bad, and the downright disgraceful. Some of the games I've reviewed, they would drive any other man to destroying his body with booze and smoking. But I'm above that. Today is Halloween. I had just finished some paperwork, was just about ready to go trick-or-treat. I mean, sit at home and watch horror movies. The ones full of blood, cussing, naked girls. That was the plan until the boss came in with a new client. They said it had to be done tonight. It was that important. For those of you that don't know, Halloween is a holiday dedicated to ghosts, ghoulies, things that go bump in the night, and a celebration of the dead, which hits closely to the client I was now dealing with. He said it was praised by critics, won several awards, but the poor sales left it in the dust. He said the company that made it would surprise me, and he was right. The game was developed by LucasArts. That's a name that immediately brings back memories. Now I was interested. What was this mysterious game that flew under so many radars, and to be developed by a company who at the time could do no wrong? It was simply known as Grim Fandango. You may have heard of this game already, and I wouldn't be surprised. Originally released in 1998, Grim Fandango has gained somewhat of a cult status over the years, and many see it as an inspiration for more recent titles, such as the Ace Attorney series and L.A. Noire. But is this game really worth those extremely kind words? It was my job to find out. I was just about to discuss the story when my partner in crime, Sid, came in.
JG, I got some new information on your new client, she.
Please don't do that.
Oh. Anyway, you know who developed the game, right?
Yeah, LucasArts.
Correct. But do you know who designed it?
No.
Well, take a look at this. No.
The game's designer was the legendary Mr. Tim Schafer. Tim worked at LucasArts for over a decade. He started as a tester and moved on to being a co-designer for games such as The Secret of Monkey Island and Day of the Tentacle. He later got to design the games Full Throttle and of course Grim Fandango. After leaving, he formed his own company called Double Fine Productions and has made games such as Brutal Legend and Psychonauts. We'll talk about that one at a later time. With this new information, I was fully intrigued and just had to know what this game was about. Before we get to the story, let's discuss the game's setting. Grim Fandango takes place in the land of the dead, where recently departed souls aim to make their way to the ninth underworld. Good deeds in life are rewarded by access to the better travel packages to assist in making the journey of the soul. The best of which is the number 9, a train that takes 4 minutes to reach the gate to the ninth underworld. Souls who did not fulfill a good life are left to travel through the land of the dead on foot, which would take around 4 years.
Such souls often lose faith in the existence of the ninth underworld and instead find jobs in the land of the dead. The travel agents of the Department of Death act as the Grim Reaper to escort the souls from the mortal world to the land of the dead, and then determine which mode of transport the soul is merited.
That's where our main character comes in. Manny Calavera is a travel agent at the Department of Death in the city of El Mero, forced into his job to work off a debt to the powers that be. Manny is frustrated with constantly being assigned bad clients. Boy, do I know that feeling. This puts his job at risk if he doesn't come up with some clients that qualify soon. After a flaw is discovered in the system, Manny, his friend Glottis, and a group of rebels make it their duty to stop it. The game takes place over the course of 4 years, and this is where I feel I should stop, because combined with great twists, enjoyable characters, and hilarious dialogue, especially from Glottis, what follows is one of the most entertaining stories of any game I've ever played. Grim Fandango is like a great piece of neo-noir. It has a dark tone dealing with a subject matter like death, but it doesn't shy away from being humorous. It's also a very original idea explaining how dying works, and having the Grim Reaper simply be a job many people have as opposed to the standard one person. The only issue I have is I feel some parts could have been left out or shortened, and some parts should have been better explained. But overall, this is an experience like no other. And just in case you were worried about everyone smoking, remember, they're all dead.
Now, this game has a very Latino feel to it, and many of the characters speak Spanish. There's a reason for this, which I'll explain later.
So, how exactly do you play this game? Grim Fandango is an adventure game, which was LucasArts' big genre at the time. Manny must collect objects that can be used with either other objects, parts of the scenery, or with other people in the land of the dead, in order to solve puzzles and progress through the game. As in most LucasArts adventure games, the player can never die or otherwise get into a no-win situation, but that doesn't mean it can't be tricky to figure stuff out. While I don't recommend the use of a walkthrough, it can be helpful. You can engage in dialogue with other characters through conversation trees to gain hints of what needs to be done to solve the puzzles or progress through the plot. They can also lead to more laughs. What I love about these kinds of games is that with the conversation trees, you really can make the story your own. If you want to soak in everything possible and get the most of it, you can. Or if you just want to see how the story plays out, that's fine too. Now, as Sid had mentioned earlier, this game has a very Latino feel. It turns out it actually has a much deeper meaning, which he explained to me.
It all correlates with the Mexican holiday known as the Day of the Dead. The holiday focuses on gatherings of people to pray for and remember friends and family members who have died, which the theme of the game follows very well. It starts on October 31st and ends on November 2nd. Like you said, the game takes place over 4 years, but it's always November 2nd of that year. The designs of the characters follow a style known as Calica, I apologize if I pronounced that wrong, also associated with the Day of the Dead, and has been used in other games such as Little Big Planet and the film Corpse Bride. There are additional references to the holiday, such as the flowers, but I don't want to say too much, as it could spoil some of the story.
I thanked Sid and moved on to discussing the overall presentation. Outside of the Day of the Dead style, the game mostly follows the look of a 40s or 50s film noir, like The Maltese Falcon or Casablanca. And oddly enough, these two designs complement each other almost perfectly. Film noir already by definition has a dark tone, so the subject of death works great. As for the graphics, for the time, they look very good. It was LucasArts' first 3D adventure game, and they even named the engine after it. There's occasionally some graphical hiccups, but only a few were anything severe or immersion breaking. The script, as I said, is absolutely hilarious, with some of the funniest quotes I've heard in a long time.
Ay, ay, ay.
You know, Manny, I could make this car a little faster if you wanted.
Yeah, whatever.
Oh yeah, slam the front into the weeds, tug the rear end, dual blowers popping out of the hood.
Sorry, Bruno, but you didn't qualify for anything better. But here, have this complimentary mug.
No, wait! Can't you find me something where I can move my legs?
You know I'd like to, Bruno, but my boss is a real hard-ass.
I gotta be a hard ass when I got lazy sickle wavers like this jolly boy working for me. Manny, You couldn't find a sale at a yacht club.
I got a sale right here.
I'm talking premium sales, Calavera. Like the kind Domino makes.
How am I supposed to make premium sales with the scumbag clients you're sending me?
Hey!
And it helps that they got the perfect person for each character. As for the music, again, it's a great blend of Latino and mystery in an old-timey jazz style, and it forms a great soundtrack that you'll want to listen to after you've stopped playing. Because this is an old PC game, you may have trouble getting it to run on modern operating systems. But unfortunately, even when you do get it to run, it has some problems. These are the issues I ran into, and remember, I'm running on a computer with Windows 8.
You use Windows 8.
Whenever I would open the menu to save, the sound would disappear. Now, this is a common problem amongst players. The strangest thing was if I turned on the 3D acceleration, all of the characters would disappear. I guess my mind just couldn't process how fast everything was going. But it worked fine on an older operating system, so it might just be a bug with Windows 8.
Wouldn't be the first one.
Thankfully though, a lot of these problems can be fixed via patches and changing the settings, so remember this if you decide to play it. But overall, the presentation, just like everything else, is absolutely outstanding. Grim Fandango. It was loved by critics, but it wasn't a commercial success. But today its popularity has risen significantly, and there are many websites dedicated to keeping this game alive. No pun intended. Many people today consider it not only one of the greatest PC games ever made, but one of the greatest games ever made. And after playing it myself, I agree. The way this game combines such a dark subject matter with lovable characters, beautiful art design, and great comedy, it forms such a rich story that you'll want to experience many times. If you've played it before, do yourself a favor and revisit it. You won't regret it. If you haven't played the game and you have a PC, this is one that I urge you to play.
Unfortunately, it isn't available through Steam, so you'll have to purchase it from sites like eBay or Amazon, and the prices can go from $10 to over $100.
With so many games getting HD updates, this is one I would have loved to have seen get this treatment. Sadly though, with LucasArts now gone, the possibility of that happening is very low. But regardless, Grim Fandango is one of the best games I've reviewed on this show, and it definitely deserves some time in the spotlight.
Well, look, everything seems to be back to normal.
Normal? It isn't normal. Look at the door over there. It says, oh wait, that's gone now. Never mind. Anyway, I guess we've come to the end of JG Reviews Halloween 2013. Now, next time, we're going to be looking at a classic game that everyone thinks they love, but is it really as good as they remember? And we're going to need your help, so stay tuned for information on that. Also, if you're going out for Halloween, please be safe. Don't get yourself or anybody else hurt, because a mistake like that, it might not just be wrong, it could be dead wrong.